Sir, and I'm going to say
Senator,
that
you're
your
attempting
lack
to
of
win
an
political points
answer
on the backs of
confirms what we've
mischaracterizing
known
the
all
statements of a
along.
member
The Trump
of my
administration is
department,
not serious.
and I'm not going to stand
you
for
are
that.
not a serious person. You are not serious about rooting out, fighting anti-Semitism within the ranks of our DOD. It's despicable. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Welcome to Liberty Report USA. Let's take a look at what happened in the Senate today.
Senator Rosen, you're recognized. I thought I would just create a stir down there.
No. I thank you to my seatmates on both sides. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We take care of each other. And again, thank you, Chairman Wicker, Ranking Member Reed, for holding this hearing. Mr. Secretary, we have a short amount of time, so I'm just going to ask a few simple questions, and I would just appreciate if, for some of them, you would just answer yes or no. And so, Secretary Hegseth, would you agree that every senior official in the Department of Defense must reflect the values and conduct that our service members must uphold and our citizens expect?
Senator, we want to uphold the highest possible standards.
I'll take that for a yes. So would you also agree then that anti-Semitism and anti-Semitic conspiracy theories have no place in our government or military? Yes or no?
They should not.
Thank you. So would you also agree that anyone who has posted, and I'm going to quote, anti-Semitic conspiracy theories lifted right out of a neo-Nazi playbook, end quote, shouldn't be anywhere near a position of power? Yes or no?
Since I don't believe the characterization of many officials in the news media, I would need to see precisely what's being characterized.
But generally, would you not say that if we thought something was coming out of a neo-Nazi playbook, it doesn't have any place in our Department of Defense? Now, Secretary Hegseth, the quote that I just read you was referencing Ms. Kingsley Wilson, the DOD press secretary. It's a direct quote from her, who my Republican colleagues on this committee have also expressed alarm over due to her comments. In fact, one colleague said, and I'm going to quote again, obviously I don't agree with her comments. I trust the Pentagon will address this, end quote. However, in the months since, not only have you not addressed these anti-Semitic comments, you have promoted Ms. Wilson. This seems to be at odds, honestly, with President Trump's commitment, very public commitment to combat anti-Semitism, which you just said you two agreed with. So, Secretary Hegseth, given the rise in anti-Semitic violence, hate crimes in our nation, and to show that the Trump administration, your administration, does have a zero-tolerance policy for anti-Semitism, will you dismiss Ms. Kingsley from her role as a U.S. military spokesperson today, yes or no?
Again, that's why I referenced the context and characterization.
Well, we'll send you the quote,
I've worked
sir.
directly with her. She does a fantastic job, and there's any suggestion that I or her or others are party to anti-Semitism is a mischaracterization attempting to win political points.
Sir, and I'm going to
Senator,
say
you're
that your
attempting to win political points on the backs of mischaracterizing the statements of a member of my department, and I'm not going to stand for that.
You are not a serious person. You are not serious about rooting out, fighting anti-Semitism within the ranks of our DOD. It's despicable. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. I'm going to move on to General Hawk. The sudden and inexplicable dismissal of General Hawk. He serves both Director of the National Security Agency, Commander of U.S. Cybercom. It's deeply concerning, raises significant questions about the decision-making process, its potential consequences. Public reports indicate that the removal of General Hawk, who has served his country proudly, has been influenced by social media influencer personality on social media, Laura Loomer, spreads conspiracy theories. She's been denounced even by Republicans. And the idea is that any leaders within our agencies responsible for our nation's security, somebody would be dismissed based on the advice of a social media influencer is alarming, to say the least. It's surely not how we should be running our military. So were you consulted regarding General Hawk's dismissal, yes or no?
Well, Senator, I would not advise believing everything you read in the media. And I'm
were you
consulted on every single decision.
Okay,
I'm the
so that's
decision maker
alarming.
for the department, and we all serve at the pleasure of the president. And
So
we have
what
the
was your-
prerogative to
what
make
was
those
your
decisions
What
for
was
the
your
best for the
recommendation?
country,
Did you
and we did
personally
that.
approve Mr. Hawk's dismissal, yes or no?
Anyone coming or going
Personally
at the
approve
Defense
it.
Department, especially at that level, would ultimately be a decision made by me, and I stand behind that.
Did you personally relieve him? Did you personally relieve him? Yes or
Anyone
no?
at that level
You did,
who is
so that's a
relieved
yes.
would be relieved by the Secretary of Defense.
Was there a specific justification for General Hawk's dismissal? Was there a specific justification for General Hawk's dismissal?
Ma'am, we all serve at the pleasure of the president, and the president deserves the type of commanders and advisors that he thinks will best equip him to accomplish the mission.
Did you discuss General Hawk's dismissal with Laura Loomer prior to his removal?
I don't discuss who I talk about anything with, but ultimately this is my decision, and he serves at the pleasure of the president, and that's why he's no longer there.
So do you believe it's appropriate for any social media personality to influence personnel decisions in your department, yes or no?
I believe your time is up, Senator.
Oh, it is not up to you to tell me when my time is up.
Well, the time
And I
of
am
the
going to say,
senator.
Mr. Secretary, you're either feckless or complicit. You're not in control of your department. You're this is unserious. It is shocking. You're not combating anti-Semitism within your ranks. It's a dangerous and pivotal time in our nation's history. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back. And I don't appreciate the smirk, sir. You are the Secretary of Defense.
The time of the gentlelady has expired.
In the final moments of this hearing, the air seemed to tighten as Senator Rosen confronted Secretary Hegseth with a question that cut straight through the ceremony of the room. Would he dismiss a senior Defense Department spokesperson whose public comments had been widely condemned even by members of his own party? And when she pressed him further, when she asked whether personnel decisions at the highest levels of national security were being steered not by military judgment or institutional standards, but by the influence of an online provocateur, the exchange shifted from tense to explosive. The senator's voice sharpened. The secretary bristled, and for a brief moment, the veneer of order gave way to something far more revealing. What unfolded was not simply a disagreement over policy, it was a window into the friction points inside the American system, between elected oversight and executive authority, between military standards and political loyalty, between the expectation of integrity and the reality of power. As Senator Rosen laid out her case, she leaned on statements made by colleagues across the aisle, pointing to their own discomfort with the rhetoric attributed to the Pentagon's chief spokesperson. She invoked rising concerns across the country and demanded a clear, decisive repudiation. But instead of clarity, she met a wall of deflection. Questions meant to be answered in seconds stretched into a maze of qualifiers, context disclaimers, and refusals to accept the premise. And then came the moment that crystallized the entire hearing, when she asked whether decisions about removing General Hawk, one of the nation's most consequential defense leaders, were influenced by conversations with Laura Loomer. The secretary refused to say whom he spoke to. He refused to discuss reasoning. He would only reaffirm that he holds the authority, that he makes the decisions, and that those decisions, by virtue of being his, were justified. The senator's frustration broke into open indignation. She called out what she saw as evasion. She said the secretary was either unwilling or unable to control the department he leads. And in her final words, I don't appreciate the smirk. The divide between them became unmistakably human. This is where the deeper truth of the moment reveals itself. Hearings like this one are not just about the answers given on the record. They are about what those answers and the refusals to give them signify about the state of American governance. A republic functions only when accountability outweighs allegiance, when the standards expected of service members apply equally to those who command them, when national security decisions are insulated from outside personalities, whether political, ideological, or online. The tension on display reflected something larger, the fear that the guardrails designed to keep the military separate from political spectacle are being bent, strained, maybe even quietly pushed aside. Senator Rosen's questions were not simply about one spokesperson or one general. They were about whether the decision-making process inside the Pentagon is being shaped by expertise or by influence, by internal assessments or external pressure, by the quiet, disciplined chain of command, or by voices who operate outside of it. Secretary Hegseth's insistence that everything rests within his authority may have been factually accurate, but authority without transparency invites doubt. And doubt, especially within the realm of national defense, erodes trust long before it erodes structure. When leaders dismiss concerns not with clarity, but with accusations of political gamesmanship, they risk turning genuine oversight into fodder for defensiveness. When they respond to direct questions with vague appeals to the president's prerogative, they sidestep the very principles that separate constitutional leadership from personal loyalty. This hearing forced into public view a question many Americans rarely consider but should. Who truly shapes the decisions that affect our military and our security? Is it the officials sworn into office, accountable to the public, bound by norms and institutional responsibility? Or is it the loudest voices online? Voices with no obligation to truth, no scrutiny, no chain of command. The senator's outrage may have been sharp, but behind it was a warning that transcends party lines. If outside personalities, whether celebrated or controversial, gain even an inch of influence over national security staffing, the consequences stretch far beyond political theater. And yet, beneath the sharp exchanges and heated accusations, the core issue remains untouched by theatrics. Standards matter. Integrity matters. Who we entrust with the levers of defense matters. The American people deserve to know that those decisions are made with discipline, not impulse, with rigor, not reaction, with a commitment to the nation, not to the noise surrounding it. In the silence after the gavel falls, we are left with a stark truth. Oversight is only as strong as the willingness of leaders to answer hard questions. And democracy is only as strong as the people who demand those answers. This moment, tense, uncomfortable, revealing, reminds us why these hearings exist in the first place. Not to score points, but to safeguard the principles that hold this country together. If you believe in accountability, if you believe in transparency, if you believe these moments matter, then stand with us. Subscribe to Liberty Report USA. Support our work to expose the truth.